Hi, I'm Linda Fisher, author of the memory book, One Woman's Self-Discovery in the Mist of the Austro-Hungarian Monarchy. In my book, you will meet a girl named Amalka, who grew up in a world ravaged by World War I. My story is based on the memory book she created during that time. It's filled with truisms, poems, and writings from her family and friends. I spent nearly a decade traveling back and forth across Europe to learn more about her culture, and along the way I came to know that cream cakes were popular then and now. So in addition to sharing travels, history, and a bit about Amalka, my book is a cream cake recipe in the spirit of all the great ones throughout Europe, with a few touches of our own. When we talk about cream cakes, nearly every country has their own version, but when it comes to taste, design, and presentation, the European ones really stand out. I like them so much I decided to make an Americanized version inspired by all the great cream cakes of Europe. So I reached out to Laura Rios in New York City to create our very own cream cake recipe. And this one is based on pastry recipes spanning a half a century. So Laura, let's take a moment and talk about the recipe. I sent you a couple to test. How did it go?
Well, let's just say the first couple of tries weren't exactly stellar culinary moments.
Oh.
The recipe had some flaws. So after about 5 times testing it, we were happy enough with the recipe that it's now in the book today.
Yeah, it definitely took us some time before we got it correct. So what advice would you give me and the home cook on making this recipe?
Well, I'd start by saying, read the recipe, read it once, read it twice before you get started. Pastry can be a bit complicated and a little scary for people. So have a good grasp of it before you get started, and once you do get started, follow the recipe step by step. Don't make any changes.
But seriously, what are the secrets to making this cream cake?
Taste everything along the way. Use your senses. Your sense of smell, your sense of taste. It's important in cooking to use your senses. And just take your time. If it curdles, it's wrong. You need to start over. Hopefully that won't happen. We've tested this recipe and made it so that you'd have success at the end. It's going to take you a day to make it, and then the next day you can serve it.
Well, it must be someone very, very special for whom you'd want to make it, right?
Special occasions, or unless you just want to impress someone for a dinner party.
That's nice too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so tasty. I have never tasted anything quite like it.
Nor have I.
Yeah.
Or had I.
Yeah, it's a delicious dessert. Okay, everyone, pack your bags. Next stop, the Bogdan family kitchen in Hungary. Time to make a cake. Let's go.
So before you start any recipe, you want to measure out every ingredient and have everything set up in front of you, except for the chantilly. This is just for the cremsita cream. So you're kind of like squeezing the juice. You're juicing it, pre-juicing. If you have a juicer, use a juicer or just squeeze it yourself. The rum you can add to your lemon juice. You're ready to move on to the next part of the recipe. It's a really nice puff pastry, but we want it to be flat, so it's not a problem, we just push it down. At this point we are going to slowly bring the milk to a boil. Our pastry looks beautiful. It came out nice and even and brown, and now we have to let it cool. Now I'm going to whisk the egg yolks with sugar. We're going to alternate adding more sugar as the egg yolks get nice and fluffy. how we get our workout. You don't have to do this by hand. You can certainly use an electric mixer. I just like to feel my food as I'm cooking. When the sugar is well incorporated to your egg yolks, you will have a nice light and fluffy consistency. Then we can move on to the next step and add flour. So our milk is off the heat. We're going to add our eggs. I'm whisking to make sure there's no clumps. When I see that it looks smooth, I'm going to add more eggs. Back on the fire, very low heat. And just keep your eye on the custard. So we're going to take it off the heat, and I'll show you a little trick to know if your custard is done. It's easy with a wooden spoon because you can see the custard sticks to it nicely. Just with your finger, make a line across the wooden spoon. And if the custard stays in two separate places and the line stays, then your custard is finished. Now I'm going to add the lemon juice and rum mixture. And I like to add it at the end of the cooking time for the custard because the flavor is more pronounced. If you add it at the beginning, it's going to cook out all of the flavor. Our next step is to whisk the egg whites, alternating with vanilla sugar. And what we're hoping to achieve is a nice, light, airy consistency. And when we're finished with that, we're going to fold that into our hot custard. And that'll cook the egg whites for us. Once again, you can also do this with a hand mixer. We know when the egg whites are done, when stiff peaks form. See these peaks at the top, and they're holding their shape? Stiff peaks. So this is what we're looking for. This is where I find this recipe to be very interesting. Normally, you wouldn't want to fold your egg whites into hot custard because it will cause them to deflate and to cook. However, in bled, this is what they actually do. So this is the exciting part. We're going to take our egg whites and gently fold them into our custard. And when it's fully incorporated, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I have two pieces of puff pastry now. I placed one on top of the other to ensure even rectangles. What I'm going to do is use a pizza cutter. You can use that or a knife. And I'm going to score it down the center lengthwise to create 4 equal pieces. Now I'm going to rotate it. So the puff pastry is laying in front of me. I'm going to start by cutting down the center. So now I have 12 pieces. And you can make them as large or as small as you want. I wouldn't go smaller than this because it's going to be too thin and it'll be hard to pick up. But you can go larger if you'd like. And then the same on the other side. Okay, I have a little gelatin in here. It's bloomed, which means it had some hot liquid in it. And then I added it to the custard. And this is going to be a stabilizer for the custard. It's not traditional in bled to use gelatin, but I found it works best for me. Okay, so now we're going to assemble. We're now ready to pour the custard onto the puff pastry. Okay, now we're gonna put it in the refrigerator to cool. Yes, it's a day later, and it's time to finish up the kremsnita. So we will be making whipped cream for the top. Sound good? Cut.
Cut.